And you're still planning to, you won't fight again at the end of the year?
No.
You'll come back next May.
Yeah.
And again, probably the Zurdo Bivol winner looks
No,
to be
if Zurdo, I don't want to fight with Mexicans. So I don't want to fight with Mexicans, and I think Zurdo have a lot of chance to win, and I want him to win. If he wins, we will see if I want the rematch with Bivol. I don't know.
And you're still planning.
Hey, get the payday. You want payday. I know that. Oh, Canelo Alvarez does it again. And not in a good way. Bad news. Canelo Alvarez says he does not want to fight another Mexican fighter. Said it before, and now he is saying it yet again. What does it mean? I'm going to talk about all that in this video. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing SLC. Subscribe, like, and comment. Now, follow me on Twitter at BOXINGEGO. I said, old media says, quote, there's no race in boxing. Stop making it about color. Yet they say nothing when Canelo Alvarez repeatedly keeps saying he doesn't want to fight against a Mexican fighter. Why not? It's just a sport. It's just competition. Why does their race matter? So I posted this tweet. I meant every word in this tweet. Clearly, you can see that old media is full of it. I remember making several videos talking about real things that exist in this sport of boxing, the double standards, race as it pertains to fights, and I'm not saying this is the way I prefer it, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to turn a blind eye to what I see in the sport of boxing. When I bring up these issues, old media says, oh, there's no race in boxing. Stop making it about color. You're just, you're creating the problem. But they remain quiet as church mice when Canelo Alvarez keeps saying this. Now, keep in mind, years ago, Canelo made this very same statement, and it flew under the radar. I myself talked about it because I took exception to it then, and I took exception to it now. I mean, this is ridiculous for a fighter to completely remove any race from a sports competition. And again, answer the question. Old media keeps saying there's no race in boxing. Stop making it about color. But isn't that what Canelo Alvarez is doing by excluding his own race, La Raza, and saying he won't fight people with Mexican blood and Mexican fighters? I mean, this is unheard of. Now, you look at the history of this beautiful sport, and guess what? There's been a lot of same race, no matter what the race was. Like, that's like Nonito Donaire, who's Filipino, saying he's not going to fight Nayao Inoue, who's Japanese, because they're both Asian. That would be like a fighter, and I put this in my tweet. Make sure you guys follow me at BOXINGEGO. I said, can you imagine if a black fighter put out some kind of clause or roadblock saying, hey, I don't want to fight a fellow black man like Canelo is doing? Imagine if Errol Spence Jr. said he would never fight Terrence Bud Crawford. Imagine if Deontay Wilder says he couldn't fight Anthony Joshua and, he's not going to fight another brother or another black guy. I mean, it just sounds ridiculous. But Canelo, who's supposed to be the face of boxing, for one, real quick, let me take a little side street. No one's really talking about Canelo versus Triple G3. That's just an observation that I've noticed. I haven't seen really anyone talking about the fight. But beyond that, the face of boxing, how can the alleged face of boxing make such an outlandish statement? And people, like, you see, like when he's saying this to media, I don't hear any media saying anything back like, this is absurd, this is crazy. What do you mean you don't want to fight another Mexican fighter? And again, it begs the question that I mentioned earlier as I started this video. How can old media say there's no race in boxing, and then you have Canelo and he's protecting his own race, saying, hey, I don't want to go toe to toe and, mano y mano with someone from my race. So who do you want to fight? You want to fight a bunch of British fighters, which is what Canelo has been doing? Man, Canelo, for one, he's coming off a loss, but this ain't it. This ain't it. You know what I mean? Imagine just boxing history. You wouldn't have gotten Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. versus Oscar de la Hoya if they had this attitude instead of the wonderful Guerrero and warrior attitude that they showed, right? You wouldn't have had classics like Eric Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera. You wouldn't have had fights with guys like Juan Manuel Marquez and Orlando Salido. Imagine that. And what makes this more absurd for Canelo to say this is you fought coming out of Mexico and turned pro at age 15. So in Mexico, you fought a lot of guys that were actually bearing the same flag and, you know, same blooded or Latino or whatever we're calling this, Hispanic Mexican fighter. You fought that on your way up. But even as you became Canelo and you broke into the States, he fought against Alfonso Gomez. Now, I remember Alfonso Gomez at the press conference start rapping and dissing Canelo via 8 Mile style, right? He fought after his loss to Floyd Mayweather, a black fighter. He fought against none other than, guess who? Alfredo El Perro Angulo, right? And so on. He fought 2 fights with Miguel Vasquez and so on and so forth. There's an old thing, and you guys can look it up. Canelo Alvarez actually got in a fight with someone much smaller in Mexico over a girl and knocked the guy's teeth out. So how are you, this looks crazy. How are you able to fight over a female and knock a much smaller fighter? He was like a featherweight or something. Just look it up. You guys could look it up, right? And you're able to turn pro at 15, fight a lot of club fights in the Mexico circuit, fight the Angulos, the Alfredo El Perro Angulos. He fought again on the Mayweather undercard, like I mentioned, against Alfonso Gomez. He fought against Jose Cito Lopez, the Riverside Rocky, Mexican-American. So what gives? How did he fight Julio Cesar Chavez's son, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., not that long ago, right? Because this was at the T-Mobile Arena, and the T-Mobile Arena, the first boxing fight there was Amir Khan in May of 2016. And then the following year, May of 2017, he fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. So how are you fighting these dudes who are also Mexican and bear the same flag? I mean, this is a son of a legend. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., his dad is a legend. So everybody knows him, right? And Canelo says this was one of his idols growing up, along with other fighters like Muhammad Ali, right? So when did this become the new standard? How come I'm the only person who's taking exception with this statement from Canelo that sounds radical, dramatic, and it's just not doing Canelo any favors? Canelo Alvarez also got whooped by Bivol, ducked the rematch, and no one's talking about the Triple G fight. The ship has sailed. They're putting it on pay-per-view from the same company that said pay-per-view was dead. Canelo was going along with it, doing commercials. And then now you're fighting Triple G at age 40. No one's really interested. And at your media day, they're talking more about PBC fights and Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford and Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia. Then they're really talking with excitement about Canelo Triple G3. But more importantly, how is Canelo allowed to get away with this? How is Canelo able to say these things that has never been said in boxing history? Name another fighter that said, hey, I'm the best in the world. I'm the face of boxing, but I don't want to fight this, that, and the other. Like, I can understand if you didn't want to fight someone who wasn't of your same gender or whatever. Like, even in the amateurs, there's times where amateurs, like very young guys, 16, could be fighting someone much older. So in boxing, you don't really have a say. So Canelo has completely diluted the game of boxing, and he's creating all these clauses and his own rules, and doesn't want to fight on certain dates, and wants to fight on certain dates, then cancels the date, failed a drug test. I mean, this is just crazy. So it looks like the era of Canelo is down bad. Now, finally, leave it to your boy Ego SLC. Subscribe, like, and comment to come up with the best points. My thing is this. If you listen to the interviews in the same breath where Canelo's saying, I don't want to fight another Mexican fighter, he said it multiple times. He says the guy that just beat him, that he ducked, that he could have been fighting in an immediate rematch since he had a rematch clause, Bivol, is likely to fight Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. And he says he's rooting for Gilberto Ramirez. He's pulling for Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez, and he hopes he wins, and he thinks he has the talent to win. But he says, peep this. He says if Zurdo wins, he's not going to fight him because he doesn't want to fight another Mexican fighter. And then peep this. He says if Gilberto Ramirez, who he says could win, and he thinks he's rooting for him to win, he says that if that is in fact the case, he said he won't fight Bivol. I mean, what type of is this? What type of BS is this where you're saying the guy that beat you, like if Zurdo beats Bivol, that's him. He beat him. So you lost to Bivol. So you're making it sound like a Bivol fight is of no consequence or no interest to you if Bivol loses, but you say you're rooting for Gilberto Ramirez to win and you think he has what it takes in the style to dethrone Bivol. But if he does win, which you're pulling for and kind of predicting, you're not going to fight him because he's Mexican. I mean, get Canelo out of here. He should just go to England and just take all of his fights for the rest of the career. I'm done talking about it. Subscribe to the channel. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxing Ego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with a $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new interactive and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.